And welcome back. Today finally we can let our robots fight in this card game tutorial. The tutorial will be a little bit longer, so I'll just go straight to the point. First of all, I did a new drawing that I included here. So if you want to copy the same stats, I don't have the name yet, but you can see the stats here. You can just stop the video. And here remember that in your loop you start from 3. Now you need to start from 4 because of course number 3 is card 3 here. So that's what I've done as a preparation. Now let's go straight away in the game itself, and where we have our usual block that we have been working on in the last days. Here when we click with the mouse on the time map, if you remember, we have this condition here where if there is as a target in the target time cell there is no robots, then we can move the car if there is some movement left and so on. Also we created the else here and then we left it here for the fighting option. So we are going to work from this point here, and we need to go to add a new sub event. And first of all we do system pick all cards. Now we do this because later we're going to put other options that we need for later on. So just as a reminder that we need to select again every card from 0, so we ignore all the filter up front. Another thing we have to do is just we can just copy this one here and paste it here, this condition where we check the card number, but we need to change rather than array map at selector dot tile underscore x and y, we replace this dot tile x with actual target x. So we're now going to compare what there is in the target area of the tile map and also in the array, actually in this case. And this point, so we pick all the cards. Now we take only the card that is this specific point in the array, and then we need to add another condition, and this condition is compare instance variable player number if it's different from turn, because what we're going to do now is basically going to attack the card if it's the card of the opponent. So we don't want this to happen if it's our card. We don't want to attack the card. So in this case, if there is a card, so if there is no card, we move. But if there is a card, what you do, you attack the card only if it's the opponent card. If it's not the opponent card, you don't attack and you don't move. So you just simply can go on top of that one. Okay, at this point, just for a quick test, before we go to the details, just to see if it's working, we add an action, card, destroy, just to see if it's working. Now we save and we test. Okay, so we are our first game. Okay, luckily we are just straight away. Move 2 cells, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 19 should die straight away. In fact, that's what happened. Now, we didn't change the movement left. We don't have any check for attack, the armor, and so we doesn't care. We don't care at this stage. But I want to show you that I cannot move on this tile yet, even if I still have movement left. And this because yes, the card is not there anymore as a graphic, but on the array there is still the value on that location. So we need to remove that value. As you can see, I can go around. So it's just the problem was this cell here. So let's go back to our code and let's start to do all this action. So first of all, we go on line 44 and we add one filter here that is actually we copy again from here. after the else. And now we need to add local variables, numerical local variables. You will see that I will get error because I cannot add variables here because it's inside the else, so between the else and this block your conditions here. But just to let you know, I will show you. So add local variable, and I will call it attack, the first one, numeric. As you can see, system as not valid here. And then we duplicate this one, we ignore for now, and we say target. So to make this work, I need to bring this on the condition before the else. That is this one. Now I can use this local variable all in these two blocks here. So I don't have any more problem. And I also encourage you to use local variable as much as you can, because we keep your code clean and you also free memory. So after this, we need to go again on this one, this action here. And what we do is just, that's why we are going to see the difference between acting with this selection and this selection card. So here we are acting on the card that the player is actually controlling in this moment. And so we want to store the value of this card number, and therefore we set attacker equals to card dot card number. Okay, then we copy this event here underneath on the card destroy, and now of course rather than attacker we will have a target, and we save is also this value as a target, so we know which card is which. Because now here we reset everything, so we are not acting anymore on this card, and then we pick the card that is in the location where our selector is actually clicking. And also I'm going to disable card destroy, because of course we want to do all the calculation for our battle system. So now rather than continue inside this block here, I'm going to create a new function. First of all, because the function, as we said before, can be called from elsewhere, and we will need this in the future. But secondly, also because it becomes too much messy to have too many conditions here. I know this code is not really perfectly organized. I'm just trying, as I remind you, to let everyone that's the free version try to follow as much as possible this tutorial that is quite big in terms of events. But really now need to add a new function outside, otherwise it's too much. So function on function, and we call it attack. I remind you that if you're using constant tree, you're slightly different when you're using functions, sorry. So we already talked about this. I'm not going to repeat anymore. You should be able ready to understand how to do things since we did many times now. So we go back now to this block here where we just disable the card destroy, and we add the new action that is actually calling the new function, and then we call the function attack, and we pass the parameters. In this case, the first parameter is attacker, so we pass the information telling who is the attacker. Then again, the second parameter, parameter 1, is the target, and then we add a third parameter that will be just between quotation mark melee. This because with this function, as I said before, we can call from elsewhere in the future, and now we are going to call this for melee attack. But I remind you that we also have stats to have a range attacks, and therefore we'll use this as well elsewhere. And we need to specify when we call this function which attack are we doing, because of course from the function you can come from different places. So that's what we're going to do. We confirm this. Now in the function attack, we create a sub event, and then we're going to copy The local variables we have created here, because we cannot access to these two variables here because they're local here, but we need the same variable here, and I will put under here on the sub event. And I remind you that I cannot put it here because they become a global variable, so therefore that's why we go to put under here. Takes another line, but that's what we have to do. And then we also create a new local variables. We clone this. Rather than attacker2, we call it attack roll. So this will give the result of our attack. And then also we clone again and we call it defense roll. So with this we store, of course, the result of the defender. We also create a new local variable. This time is a text variable. It's attack_type. So we can store here the information we put on the description. The values they can be melee or range. So these are the two values that can have this variable here. Okay, so at this point we're going to add a new action, and this action we're going to give the values that we just passed with the function parameter. So system set value of attacker to function dot parameter 0. Then we copy, we do the same thing with target, but parameter 1, and again this time you guess already attack type parameter 2. Okay, so this is done, and then we're going to create another sub event. Remember that the sub event has to be aligned with this one, so we need to click on the function to make it on the same height. And then we say, and the new condition is card compare instance variable card number equals to attacker. So now we're going to act only to the card number if it's the same or the variable attacker, and then we add a sub event here, and then we filter again, and then we say system compare variable attack type, and we put melee. So if the attack is a melee attack, then do this. And we need to add a new action, and we say the set the value system set value of attack roll equals to basically we need to do a sum here where we're going to add the values of card, sorry, I was speaking Italian, card dot melee damage, because this is a melee attack, plus function dot call roll die, comma battle, of course both on quotation mark. And this I remind you we did last time. So we call the function, the function is called roll die. We pass the parameter battle as a first parameter. Then the function will give back as a result, and this result basically will be here and will be summed to the value of the melee damage that the cards have. So basically in our system, how we're going to make this game, we do very basic common style. The attacker roll one d6, so one die with 6 faces, and so the result will be from 1 to 6, the result of the die, and the sum of the value of the result with the value of the melee damage will give the power of the attack of the attacker, while the defender we use the armor value, and will sum with another roll of die with 6 faces as well. So basically, if the attack will be higher than the result of the defender, there will be damage to the opponent, and the damage will be equals to the difference between the attack roll and then the defense roll. It will be reduced by the hit point left of the defender, and if the defender is still alive, no problem, the turn is passed. Instead, if the defender have equals 0 or less each point, of course the card will be destroyed and still the turn will be passed. So that's what we're going to do now, as just a quick introduction. So we got this value here. Now this parameter battle is not existing in our function, as you can see here. So we're going to duplicate inside the roll die this line here. Rather than the row, we replace with battle, and then the return value, rather than from 0 to 7, we go from 1 to 7. This because minimum values when we roll a die is 1 and maximum values is 6. Of course 7 is not taken in consideration, therefore 1 to 6 as a result is what we get when we call this function, of course. Now here we need to add a new sub-event of the same function, attack, at the same height as we did the 2 sub-event before, and then the condition here, system pickle cards. This I'm going to do because in the future I think to do something a little bit slightly different. Then I put a check on the condition before, but for now I just leave as a thing that is not going to change anything. Just take again consider filter all the cards from 0, but you can remove it in case. And then another thing I'm going to have here is that I copy this, another condition, and I compare rather than card number equals to attacker, I will do card number equals to target. So now I'm going to take the card that is the target and do the same operation I did with the attack roll. I will just copy down and just change in defense roll. So I replace attack roll with defense roll, and then rather than card dot melee damage, I will do card dot armor, and then the rest, the call of the function is the same, still a battle parameter I'm going to pass when I call the function roll die. I will get a result between 1 to 6. So now I have both this result, and now we need to go again on the function, make another sub event at the same height. And this time I'm going to compare the two results. So again, system, compare variable, attack roll. If attack roll is greater than defense roll, then it means that we hit the enemy, and we put a new sub event. And the condition, we again take this card number equals to target, because we want to act only on the card. And then we're going to subtract from the hit point card, subtract from hit point left the difference between these two values. So attack roll minus defense roll. So the difference is what is going to do, the amount of damage we're going to do to the card. Once again, we need to do another sub event where we check how much life has left the card. So card, compare instance variable, hit point left, if hit point left equals to or equal or less than 0. that means that the card is destroyed. Therefore, card destroyed. And I remind you that before we destroyed the card, but there was still the value in the array. So we need also to update the array. So we go here, array map set at x and y. As x we say selector dot target x, because it's where the card is, the coordinate, and selector dot target y for the y, and the values is -1, because -1 means that there is no card anymore. So we set this here. Now again we make a new sub event, or align this sub event here on the function on attack, and then we need to do another condition, but the condition actually is empty. We put just a comment and we say we pass the turn no matter what if the attack is successful or not. Okay, this should just give an idea. So it doesn't matter here what's happening if we miss, I mean, if the attack is not enough to make any damage, if the attack make damage but the target is still alive, or if the target is still destroyed, we don't care. With this point, after do all this calculation, we want to pass the turn. So function, call function, pass turn. Okay, we save, because a long time we don't save, and let's have a look. Okay, why I create the cards here, I take the chance to say thank you very much to you that you follow me in my tutorial, especially all the ones that support me on Patreon, that help me to create all these tutorials, have idea and so on. Now, we are not going to do any visual feedback for this tutorial today, because otherwise it will be too long. They will be done for the next tutorial. Therefore, you need to trust me on the result, but you are very welcome to try to put your result by yourself in the meantime that you wait for the tutorial. We already done together with me probably, I think, the first course with the 8-bit shooter. In this one we have a lot of wizard feedback, because we have bullets going there, explosion and so on. You can really take some example from there and apply here if you want to have something. Also you can update the text and so on. So now I'm just going to select the card, attack, and see what's happening. In this case the card has been destroyed, so the result probably is high enough. So I'm going to create a new cards. Okay, I put this on the field and then pass the turn. These are still movement, and then again attack again. Still winning, so we don't have anyone that is able to fight back. See, in this case I attacked with card number 16, the card number 17. I don't know if the result was high enough to damage but don't kill, or just miss. Actually I know, because here it has only 1 hit point, and therefore it means that it just missed. So no doubt about that. But in case we, as I said before, we don't know the feedback, we're going to see in the next time. So that's it for today. As you can see, if I now try to fight back with 17, it had a good result. So in the next video, again, we're going to see the visual feedback for this, because it's really important to give feedback to the player to understand what went wrong, especially when there are this kind of game where there are statistics. You want to see for how much you miss, if it just was a little amount or very big amount, also because to learn to play the game and to have all these mechanics. Of course, this is just a very simple game with a few mechanics. You can make as complex as you want. The goal of the tutorial is not that to make a one complete game that is a commercial at the end of the tutorial, but just to give you an idea how to create a card game. So as usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and so on, but please share it around because you help me a lot, and I will see you again with the next tutorial. Bye!